Sir, anything you say is fine.
Just when you mentioned a certain company in your last answer, I just want to know, in your opinion as a management programmer and a lead designer, what's your take on the quote of a certain CEO who will remain nameless, who said, "I want to take all the fun out of making video games"?
Well, I would disagree with that. I haven't heard that quote, but making video games is tons of fun. In my mind, if you're not having fun making the games, then that shows up in the final product. And if you are having fun making the games, a lot of that shows through in the final product that you make. There's a lot of opportunities for creativity. There's a lot of opportunities for whimsy, for humor, for huge, video games are exaggerations of whatever they're intended to portray. I mean, we play video games to be incredibly heroic characters, or to rule an entire world for thousands of years, or travel the outer reaches of space. We play video games to do really cool, incredible, exciting stuff. So the people that create that experience have to be kind of motivated and really into it and excited about it and thinking about it, and having fun, I think, is an important part of that. I'm sure there's some context to that quote that that probably makes it a little less adversarial, but I'm a big believer in the fun of making video games needs to be fun, and that at the end of the day that creates a better product.
Yes, I was wondering. Sorry, that's really disconcerting. I was wondering that after all the work that you put into your games, all the development and programming, and all the troubleshooting, all that, at the end of the day, when you go home, can you still sit down and play your games and just enjoy them, or do you end up looking into them as the developer and not being able to do that anymore?
I seldom play a game after it has shipped. I spend tons and tons of time playing it while it's in development. I think that's key as designer, as developer. Again, we're into the iterative mode of prototyping and development. Every day we're adding something new or taking something out that doesn't work. And the only way that you know that, or that you have an insight into that, is if you've actually played the game and experienced that part of the game. So we are constantly playing the game. Currently we have our Facebook prototype in progress. We play that game every afternoon, assuming it's stable. But our goal is to actually have a play session, a multiplayer play session every day, and kind of feedback the results of that play session into the next day's game, and make those changes and play a somewhat new game the next day. So having gone through that process during development, I'm not real keen on playing the game once it's out there for a number of years. And then with some games, for example, with Pirates, when we kind of came back to that game, I did look at the original and things like that. But by that time, actually, I have so many kind of new ideas that I really don't go back to the old games that much. So I do like to play other games, a lot of console games and things like that, to cleanse the palate and get some new ideas. But playing my own games after they're shipped is not so much. Yes.
So I was wondering if you could comment about the use of civilization in an educational context, and also maybe your thoughts on games in education and educational gaming movements. Sure.
Some bad people have tried to claim that Civilization is an educational game. Don't believe it. Sorry. Our philosophy, and this has actually been an ongoing discussion since the original Civilization. In a nutshell, our philosophy is people do not enjoy being educated, but they enjoy learning. And there's kind of a difference that Civilization points out, I think, in a number of ways. Learning is a kind of a self-driven process. It's a process that you kind of guide to directions that interest you, and you do at your own pace, and you're doing it in the process of conquering the world. Educating is something that's being done to you. And those are kind of stark and unfair divisions, but basically we don't set out to make a game educational. but we do set out to make it an experience where the player can kind of grow in the process of playing, can get better, can feel that they've learned new things, can feel that, I think one of the satisfactions of Civilization is kind of moving on to the next difficulty level. A month ago I couldn't handle this level, now I'm totally rocking and I'm on to the next level. Someday, look out, deity, I'm on my way. So that's all kind of the satisfaction of learning. And if that learning is kind of based on stuff that you already know, ideas that you kind of came to the game with, and is based on your own innate genius and brilliance, that's even more satisfying. So learning, I think, is a key part of video games. Education, I believe in education as a concept, but I think that trying to impose educational constraints on a video game, you can lose fun, and without fun, then there's no play and there's no education. So, we've heard these heartwarming stories about kids that have played Civilization and gone out to be great world leaders, or went to great universities at the age of 13 or whatever, and amaze their professors by obscure facts that they gleaned from the Civilopedia, which is all very cool, but in our mind that was done in the process of having fun, not in the process of a educational experience.
So, rumor has it that you yourself make fun of my favorite video game of all time, your Railroads. And I was curious if there's any truth to this, and can you give me the numbers on Railroads?
The numbers on Railroads, I'm sorry, can you be more specific?
I think you know.
I told him to say
Okay. Railroads is a fantastic game. It's a wonderful game. Play it. Do not return it to the store.
Hi, okay. I have a question that's probably on everyone's mind right now. Hope you don't mind. Is there, what? Oh yeah, that's all right, sorry. Is there any talk at all about Civilization 5?
I cannot give you a straight answer to that question.
Okay.
All I can say is we love the PC, we love Civilization, we love the Civilization fan community. You guys, of course, rock.
Alrighty. My question is really a design question for you. I noticed a lot of themes in terms of design with pirates, Sword of the Samurai, yes, covert action, and even how you interact with CPU bot and things like that, which is complexity through simplicity. The game itself, you weren't presented with 6,000 things you had to deal with. Your interface and how you worked with the game was simple, but through that, you had so many options open to you, and I just wouldn't mind you commenting on it.
That actually is a part of our game design philosophy. Two aspects. One is the idea of starting very small and with a very manageable, understandable core, and then kind of allowing that to grow as the player unlocks, opens up new areas. And the idea of what we call kind of simple systems working together to create complexity is fundamental to, Railroad Tycoon was probably the first game, but Civilization kind of really exploited that idea that there's a very kind of understandable military system, a movement system, a simple economic system, a diplomatic system, a production system are all kind of simplified, and your brain can kind of grasp them and understand them. So you are, kind of really quickly kind of catapulted in this mode of projecting the future. Okay, this is going to cost this much. It's going to cost this much. Which do I need more? We want you to really understand the fundamentals, but then have to kind of trade them off. Do I put my energy into new military units or this building, which is kind of more of a long-term investment? Do I make peace with these guys over here, or do they got that kind of juicy area over there? Maybe I should conquer them. So you're not kind of confused about the mechanics, but the way that you interact with them and use them, and they kind of trade off against each other, creates the complexity. So this idea of kind of simple systems working together to create complexity. I think it's actually a pretty powerful concept for younger game designers, because there's always a tendency to want to do everything. We call the kitchen sink approach. This is going to have 3D graphics of Halo and the complexity of Civilization, plus it's going to have the coolness of open world Grand Theft Auto, and it's going to plus a little new stuff that I'm going to add to it. So there's a danger of kind of over designing,
Right.
and the simple systems idea kind of grounds us as we put a game idea together.
Thank you.
Sure.